Guys, Jimmy again. How are you, team? What's happening out there in YouTube land, as they say? Anyway, the old zx10r, the clutch gave up on it. It didn't actually completely give up, but what was happening was, I took it for a good ride the other day, and this is what happened to the actual clutch in the bike. Now, the bike's done 59,850 Ks. And what was happening is, there's your thing over there, your tacho. So what was actually happening was, everything was all right till about 7,000 Ks, between 6 and 7,000 RPMs on the bike. So between 6 and 7,000 RPMs, everything was really good with the bike. But once you cleared that, and I yanked on the throttle, the clutch would slip. And so we were going along at whatever, 60 kilometers an hour, and then you first, and then when I yanked on it, she hit 7 and then hit the rev limiter straight to 14, and it did in all its gears. So I figured something is wrong with the clutch. It's slipping over 7,000 kilometers, 6,000, 7,000 RPMs, it was slipping. So I brought her home, got her home, pulled her apart, and this is what I found. I found the inner ones were pretty not bad. The outer weren't too bad, but it was the internal ones that was the slipping going on. And here we have it. Now, I don't know if your camera's going to pick all that up, but this is an original one near the center. See how that's black? How black that is? It's all black. Look, bits of it are falling off the fiber plate. See? Bits of it falling off the fiber plate. Okay, there's another Kawasaki original. Let's see if you can. Okay. Original plate. Really worn down fibers. Now, there's your pressure plate. Your steel plates. Look how black that is. That is black as burnt all over the place. So I picked it right. It was the clutch. Now, that's another old one. So what I did was, I got onto a few biker parts and that, around in the area, and I managed to get a hold of a new fern, a new friend, that's how you pronounce it, clutch plate. Now, in the box came with 10 fiber plates and 9 of those. So that's pretty much correct, which is really good. There was the correct ones. The only difference I can see between the Kawasaki original and the aftermarket one is this. Now, I don't know if you guys can. Let's put it there. The fibers in there are on an angle. You see that? Where these things are straight up and down. Well, me being no mechanic, I presume it's going to work all right. So what I've done is, I've had them all soaking in oil for the last 3 days. I wouldn't have had them soaking in there for that long, but other commitments and other things I had to do, so I put them all in bags, and I've got them all soaking in there. Got the bearing soaking in there. There's your shims. Now they go on just afterwards. Now there's a lot of stuff online about this, and all of the other guys are pretty spot on, because when I took the clutch out, it came out the way they did it, etc., etc. I also got another gasket. There's a new gasket in there. There's the old gasket. Now, mate, mucking around all these years with bikes and cars, I think I could have reused that other gasket anyway. But I did order that gasket for it, and there's your plates. Everything's looking pretty good in there. My only problem is try to get it back in and try to get the mechanism here working correctly, and hooking it back on and stuff. I think that'll be my only problem. Also, the springs. Now, they're your original Kawasaki springs. That is your original Kawasaki spring that came out of the bike. She's not bad. She's still pretty tough. But this is a new spring I got from Metal Gear. This is where I got this one from. That's tough. And you can see it's the same height. Everything's the same about them, except there's more coils on this one. And they claim it's 10 to 20% more tougher. And that came from Metal Gear. So the new Fern. Now, what it cost me was the clutch, fibers and the plates, and the gasket. What else did I get? That was about it. That came to about $393, which is pretty bloody good, because when I contacted Kawasaki, they wanted $29 for a fiber, $29 for a steel plate. They wanted $55 for the gasket. Now, we're looking at 10 fiber plates, $290. 9 of those, you know, it would have gone in excess of around about the $575. So we decided to go for the aftermarket product, the New Fen. Now, apparently these are made in Italy, etc., etc. They were available in Australia really easily. So I think I'm going to save a bit of dollars there. All depends on how this thing's going to run once I get it back in again. But yeah, when you do the job, do what they tell you on YouTube. The other guys have got it down pat. They're all pretty good, pretty straightforward. You know, you take one off, put them there. So there's your first ones, so you know where your shims are going to go. Now the clutch cable. Okay, I got a little container, and I kept pouring diff oil down it. Thick diff oil. And now that slides like you will not believe. That is so slippery and wet in there with oil, it's not funny. And it has been dripping out the bottom. But what I found, this cable, you know your cable's nice and smooth. When you run your finger down to there, it's got a couple of the steel twirly things have come off. It's broken. You see, I've got a couple there broken. I don't know if you can catch that, but there's a couple of them that have snapped off there. So it's smooth in your finger and you get snagged in your skin. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is there. So a couple of these fibers have broken. Now, I can't get another cable for it, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all back together again, take the bike for a ride, make sure she's riding really well. And we've got to do I've got to do the air filter. The air filter anyway, it's got to be done. So what will have to happen is the tank will have to come off. I've got a K&N in there which needs cleaning. It's due in another 3,000, 4,000 Ks for a cleaning. And what I'll do is I'll end up ordering a new clutch cable for it. And when I do the air filter in there, I'll put the new clutch cable on. I don't think it's going to break immediately on me. But then again, I won't be doing many Ks with her. Anyway, you know, probably do about 70 a week maybe, if I decide to take it to work, if I don't take it to work. All right, guys, that's about it, and that's the situation on the clutch. So if you do need to save some money, instead of buying original Kawasaki bits, which are probably better, yeah, they're going to be better than the standard aftermarket stuff. But you know, you're saving a couple of $100 going aftermarket, and we'll do a video later on about it once it's all back together again and how it's all going with the aftermarket stuff on it. All right, time to get started. Time to make sure everything's nice and clean and put a new gasket on and everything and give the bike a go and see what its story is if everything worked out well. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe wherever you are. And we are heading for Queensland. We're heading for Cairns. So in 4 weeks' time, I've got to book my trip and I'm out of here. I'm going to go 2 weeks on the road heading up to Cairns with the FJR. The wife said to me, once you take, now you've done this, why don't you take this to Cairns? I go, mate, I will be crippled riding this, 3,200, 6,000, 7,000 Ks in 2 weeks. Oh, it'll cripple me. I'd love to take it out there, Woo, wouldn't you have a ball on an open freeway? Up north somewhere. All right, guys, enough crap, enough bullshit talking. Have a good day, like and subscribe, and we'll see how the old ZX10R goes with a new clutch. Cheers.